here we go. Rudy and the crew, exclusive interview. Welcome to the show, let's have some fun. Sweep Unplugged starts now.
Hey, Sweep the League Nation, Rudy Campos Jr. here, coming to you from Sweep the League Studios. Hey, we're going to have a special Sweep Unplugged tonight. We're going with a local boxer in San Antonio, one that I've actually talked to before on the past on our radio days. Great kid. We're going to catch up with him, see what's been up with him on the boxing scene, maybe get some info, maybe get some heads up on stuff that's going to be happening. It's going to be talking to Vicious Vincent Siordia. And before we do that, you're going to go to YouTube. You're going to hit subscribe. All you got to do is search Sweep the League TV, hit subscribe button. That way you're not left out on all of these Sweep Unplugged interviews, as well as STL 316, the big show itself, Sweep the League TV. Myself, Derek Gervin, Coach Gio is back, so he'll be joining us back from time to time. So be sure to do that. All a part of the Sweep the League Network and Refocus Network. Let's not waste any time on here. Let's bring him on here. Let's welcome back Mr. Vicious Vincent Siordia. Vince, welcome back, man. It's been a long time since we've talked.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been a while, but a lot of things have gone through, and I'm glad to see you're still doing, sports journalism, and I can't wait to, get this started.
Yeah, it's probably, man, I want to say it's been probably 6 years since we've last talked. Last talked was on a radio show over at 9:30 a.m. You were in studio with us, and at that time you were prepping to go to the Olympics trials for Philippines, where you're going to represent your country, the Philippines.
Yes.
And then COVID hit. Can you kind of go back to 2018? Give us what happened, because I know COVID hit, but the disappointment of not being able to represent, that had to hit hard for you.
Yeah, I'm at peace with it now, but yeah, at the time, actually, I still can't watch the Olympics now because it still leaves pain to the side. So, you work your whole life for it. That's all you think about. As a kid, what you write about in like the dream journals, and you do assignments. I'm going to be in the Olympics 2020 Tokyo, and I know not many people can actually say that they actually made the team. And like I was 95% there to my dream, 90% there to accomplishing that. So that's what I try to think about. But yeah, I mean, you make the team, you sacrifice everything, you leave school for that, and when something that's out of your control takes that away, it hits a little bit harder, because it's not like I lost a fight or it was or I did a tournament and it was taken away. Now it was something that I couldn't have any control over, so that's what hurts the most. And it would be a little bit different if it was something that I had control over. But yeah, so it still has a little pain to it, because like I told you, like I still can't watch the Olympics. I hate hearing about Olympic boxing, but I mean, it's maybe one day I'll be just fully at peace and I'll enjoy it again.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, because I know one guy that we talked to on Sweep Unplugged most recently, his name is Mario Wisa, and he's a communication guy. And, the communication that he talks to, it's not only just communicating between you and other people, it's the communication inside of yourself that he talks about being the most important. So you finding out, hey, COVID hit, you're not going to be able to represent. Was there any talks after COVID for you going to represent the Philippines at a later Olympics, or is there a whole thing where you've got to just go through tryout again and then try to get to the national team? How does that process work?
Yeah, no, definitely afterwards we talked about 2024. I was actually training with the national team for a year or two. With my weight kind of growing a little bit, it was hard to maintain that Olympic weight that was required. So for me, when they eliminated one of the weight classes, I was like, okay, I think I need to start moving on for the national team and head to professionals. And now, since I'm a little bit bigger in size, 2028 is now a possibility to try it again. And it's not something that I got tunnel vision for, but it's something that is that's still in the works. And if I want to, if it's right at that time, with professional career, wherever I'm at that time, it is something that is very, very possible to happening again.
So I was going to ask you, good thing you brought up about the professional career. We're talking to Vicious Vincent Siordia, SA local boxer here in San Antonio, representing the Philippines, trying to represent the Philippines over in the Olympics, hopefully sometime soon. And I want to bring up the Olympics again, not because it's a heartbreaker. I know you worked really, really hard. I remember those days that we were talking, and you were ready. You were ready to go for it. But the other part that I want to get into is the difference between the Olympic side and the professional side. So in most amateur sports, you can't go, well, they say pro, but you can't go either to an adult league or a professional league without forfeiting your amateur status.
Yes.
When it comes to Olympic boxing, are those rules still applied to where you can't be pro? Because now you see Olympic competition, professional athletes compete everywhere.
Yeah. I think up to like 2016 was the first time where they removed those rules where if you turn professional, you can't go back to the amateurs. So now professional fighters can now go back to amateurs as long as they go with the promoters or management without any
Mhm.
penalty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there is no penalty there. So then no matter what, if you go professional, you start fighting professional, you'll have the opportunity to go back and compete at the Olympics, saying that you could represent the Philippines in there.
Yes, of course. Yeah, there's no obstacles to go through. It's just as long as I talk to them, communicate with them, and make the trials, then it's fair game.
So where are the trials? I know the trials are held where in the Philippines themselves.
For the national team, it's in the Philippines, and then for just
Okay.
like the Olympic trials, I'm not too sure what country it's going to be. They change every year, but for
Okay.
the make the national team, yeah, it's held in the facility. You do like a box off with the best fighters in the country in a very private exhibition match.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, and now that's the thing, I wanted to get into your professional career. When we last spoke, you were getting ready for the Olympics, and then again, the heartbreak happened, and we're not going to bring that up the entire show because I remember the training that you went through, and everything was in your heart. We felt really, really good about you when we talked to you back in 2018,
Yeah,
talking to Vicious Vincent Siordia. Now the professional fights here, the professional level.
yeah,
I was able to look up a little bit here, and I noticed that from what I did see, it was you're 1-0 in your career
mhm,
professional record.
yeah.
Has that anything changed there? Do we have any fights coming up that you are working towards?
Yes. Yeah, it hasn't changed. That was my first professional debut in October.
Mhm.
That was like my first stint from the national team. I took a break out of boxing, but now we gave professional ranks a go, and he was here. It was held here in San Antonio, so it was a good unanimous decision. I had hurt my hand the first round, so I kind of just had to outbox him for the last four. I wanted to get the knockout. I had him hurt, but I decided just to play a little bit safe to keep my hand from breaking.
Yeah.
It was a pretty bad sprain. And then for upcoming fights, yes, I am going to the Philippines. I will be training under the Omega Boxing Promotions, and we'll be having a. Can't say too much about the details of the contract, but we will be having a fight
Yeah.
within the next 2 months in the Philippines. And then the next fights will be around Asia. So we're doing like an Asia tour while I'm away.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, man. That's come on, man. I'm jealous right there. You're going to go around Asia and stuff like that. And you're going to be
Yeah.
boxing in Asia around that
Yeah.
time. So now I know you can't get into details, so we're not going to try to, push too hard on details when it comes to your upcoming fights. But after the Asia tour, when you come back to San Antonio, when you come back to the Texas area,
Mhm.
do you start going on the local cards, the local promoters? Because you kind of see a lot of these guys. I know one guy that I follow a lot. His name's Rudy Silva. He fights out of Seguin. I've
Mhm.
seen him on a lot of local cards. Do you start to get with some of these promoters to start getting your fights in, your professional fights in, to where you can start getting ranked up and get to the bigger cards?
Yeah, and that's what we were trying to do. That's what we did in October. We got to like a local promoter and we got a fight here in San Antonio. And then but when I got the call, and that's what we're gonna continue to do, kind of build up here locally and then until we go like more of a national scene.
Mhm.
And when we got the call from the Philippines, and I'm like, okay, that's bigger stages. We're talking about different resorts and it's a fight there. And I felt like it kind of took a little bit of a jump from just trying to have the grind here locally. So to get the opportunity, it was a no brainer to do that. So when I come back to Texas or in the United States, hopefully we're looking at title shots and like for a world title.
Oh, there you go, man. I wouldn't have expected right away for you to mention world title shots. I mean,
Yeah,
that's heck. I mean, that's amazing. That's what every boxer wants to go through, getting those title shots. Talking to Vicious Vincent Siordia, local San Antonio boxer. Working his way through the Philippines. He's gonna be working through the Philippines, Asia, making his fights all across the Asian country out there. Can't get my words right now. Sorry, man. I got Spurs news going left and right everywhere here, brother. So,
yeah.
no worries on that. Yeah,
I
I want to ask you about
I'm
that
thinking
too.
about the news too. I'm thinking about the. I know exactly what's going on. So yeah.
Yeah, it's fast and heavy here on the Spurs side, but more than anything, you coming back, finding locally, and you're saying you want to get more local fights. You want to be able to work up on the rankings. Where's that dream fight at? where you obviously want to get to the main card and everything, but
Yeah.
if you've got that one fight to get you going, and I'm not saying, you and Canelo or something, not that kind of dream fight yet,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Because
that
like more.
one guy that you've got circled that you want to fight to get up in those rankings right now.
There's two. I would say one's like more realistic because of weight, and then one that's like down the line. I think the Japanese monster Naya Inoue, because
Mhm.
since I'll be fighting in Asia and he's around my weight class, that's something that where I'll be big on the Asian scene right now, and a lot of fighters in the featherweight division have their fights in Asia. So I think that's like a name I have circled for a while now. I love him; he's one of my favorite fighters, but that's a fight that would be huge, and it would be like the dream just to get that. I'm a little bit bigger than him, but I know you've talked about coming up to 126,
Yeah.
and with me fighting in Japan, Korea, it's just gonna put my name out there. So that doesn't sound unrealistic at all for that to happen within the next 2-3 years.
Gotcha. See, and that's the thing is you got to kind of look at certain guys and think, okay, that's who I want to get to. That's who I want to fight. And beating him would definitely be a huge boost, obviously, to your career if you're able to get that kind of fight. How does something like that happen? I mean, I know you just can't get thrown into fights like that. You got to kind of work your way up, or there's the possibility there where if you really impress on the Asian market,
Yeah.
you kind of get your name thrown in there a lot quicker.
Yeah, especially with the promotional company I'm at, they do a lot of sparring sessions with the Japanese with the top Japanese fighters. So they've met Inoue before. So with the connections they have, they're probably the most connected promotional company in the Philippines right now. It's the highest facilities what everybody wants to get to be part of, and just having that connection is already like a springboard into getting those big fights. If I impress this with this first and current contract with this year, everything goes well. We're really looking to just really expedite this professional career because I am 24, but with the amateur experience, I don't need to take as much. I don't really got to do little like tune-up fights like most amateurs do when they start at 18. When you have
Yeah.
like a lot of experience being on the national team, that kind of goes with going to the pros. So you don't really have to fight 20, 30 times before you fight a world title. It goes a lot quicker than that.
Talking to local SA boxer Vicious Vincent Siordia. Be on the lookout. It's going to be rising fast among the ranks. Going on an Asia tour here pretty soon. Get some matches over there. Hopefully, be back and start getting some of these local matches as well as national matches here on the boxing scene. The thing that we do at the end of Sweep Unplugged, which is not quite yet, we do our top five. So keep in mind, I'm going to do a top five with you, put you on the spot here in a little bit towards the end. So kind of give you a heads up on that. But, talking about fights here, I got to ask because you've got a lot of young people that look up, and I've been to a couple of the boxing gyms, went to go visit a local boxer. Her name's Devini Cuevas. Started to see her around some of the local scenes, saw some of her fights, did some coverage on her as well. But what I noticed was she was training at, there's a lot of local kids, like a ton of kids that get in. For those kids that want to get into boxing, how would you kind of go step by step to get them into it? Because we know, man, San Antonio's a boxing town. You've got gyms pretty much all over the place. What does Vincent tell these kids? Say, okay, you got to start here because my daughter likes to box and she likes to hit my hand from time to time.
Yeah.
And I think she could be good, but as a parent, I'm like, man, I don't want you getting hit in the head. So that might be a bad thing. What advice can you give, man?
I think the only advice I can give to young fighters is just if just patience. When I first started training, my coach put me in the corner of the gym, and I just right next to the radio, and I was just doing footwork for hours straight, and I never got to touch the ring for like 2 months, just learning on footwork, and I think a lot of young fighters, a lot of people see nowadays on social media. They see fighting, they want to get in the ring so bad, and they don't understand that it's one is dangerous just to go in there and try and fight and try to spar right away, and then two, if I think what it taught me was that patience. You have that patience and that discipline to learn the proper footwork, the proper proper technique to throw a punch. Then you got to really not just prove to yourself, but prove to the people that you trust, your coaches and your family, your parents. They see that, if they see you've been dedicated, you've been disciplined, then you've earned that right to pursue, maybe competing or just getting in the ring, sparring just casually. But yeah, I would say patience, because it took me like months before I got to even touch the ring or even think about hitting the mitts or the bag before.
Mhm.
Um, and I was in like I hated it. I hated it being in the corner. Like it was. There's a couple songs on the radio that I can't listen to because it's played over and over again. But if you're willing to go through that, if you have that patience, that discipline, and then that's what I would give. That's the young advice I would give, because people love to go in there, hit the bag on social media, just hit the mitts and show off. But it's a lot more than that. And that's what I would say, is that boxing is not an internet sport. It's
Yeah.
very real, it's very dangerous, and it's not something that someone like me growing up would be accustomed to, because I didn't grow up. I grew up in a very middle class family, so everybody always asked me like, why boxing? But it's just, that's why, even for myself, I'm like, man, why do I go in there? Why do I go in there getting hit in the face, like go getting punched in the face for a living? So yeah, just patience, and just having that trust with people around you, and that'll go far. Trust, and keep the people around you very close, because those people have your best interests at heart.
You brought up a great point at the end, because I think, like I mentioned before, as a parent, as a father, my daughter says, I want to try boxing. I want to try boxing. And the biggest fear, like I said, was her taking a beating and all that is my biggest fear. But as your coaches and your trainers are there, they obviously can tell if you're cut out to box within the first couple of weeks, I'm assuming,
Yeah,
because they're not going to just put you in the ring and allow you to get manhandled left and right.
yeah.
Is it safe to say that, as a parent, we shouldn't have that kind of fear?
Um, yeah, I mean, there's very seldom gyms will do that. Will just throw you in the fire. But yeah, most coaches will have your fighter's best interest at heart. And I think you got to build that connection with the coach, and they won't ever put you in a situation where it's you're going to be taking a beating, or you're in an uncomfortable spot. I mean, the ring's always uncomfortable. It's always a risk, no matter what. When you go in there, it's
Yeah.
now it's about just having that trust with the coach, and you build that connection early on, and sometimes it just clicks, and you just know.
There you go. See, you're putting all the concerns I've had for my little girl becoming a boxer. So hopefully, if she still wants to do it, we'll hopefully get her in.
Yeah, get
Talking
her in
to
there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell her, hey, yeah, Dad knows a couple of boxing people, so maybe it can help you out too.
Yeah.
Talking to Vicious Vincent Siordia. Now, to get a little bit off of boxing, we'll unplug from the boxing world, plug into the sports world. And you being in San Antonio, I'm sure you've seen all the rumors going around, and nothing has happened as of this recording. Nothing
Yeah.
has happened.
Yeah.
It's just been talks, but the excitement as a fan, being a Spurs fan, it was 100 million times great when you got Victor Wembanyama, but now the thought of pairing him with a possible All-Star and All NBA type of player in De'Aaron Fox as a fans aspect, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm just excited. In my opinion, I didn't even think we needed somebody like De'Aaron Fox, because I just think Victor Wembanyama, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, will go
Mhm.
down as the greatest player to ever touch a basketball. But I'm such a big Wemby fan. Like, if people know me, like, they know how much of a diehard fan I am with the Spurs. So I'm constantly checking on Twitter, on Bleacher Report, to see any updates. So hearing the name De'Aaron Fox thrown around, you automatically think like, okay, do we have the pieces? We got to give up somebody, and and like, I'm excited. I'm excited for Wemby to pair with Fox. I hope it's soon, because we're trying to make that that playoff push a little bit. So it's just, I'm excited, but I'm also like, I know the business. I know the business side of it. So
Yeah.
like, it's Stephon Castle's name being thrown around, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan. It's one of those things where it's going to be bittersweet. He wants to be here, and I think eventually De'Aaron Fox will be here, and I think he's one of the pieces that we need just to make that title push very soon, when Wemby's obviously going to keep on progressing in his career.
Yeah, Stephon Castle is already a fan favorite. I
I
mean,
know.
number four, I believe it was number four
Yeah.
pick in the draft. I mean, yeah, I get it, but in the world of business, the hard decisions have to be made, and it's not only the Spurs; it's boxing world. It's everywhere. Decisions have to be
Everywhere.
made, and they're not going to be popular a lot of times. But in order for you to be successful, you've got to make sacrifices. So, which one would you not want to see go from the Spurs team? I'm not even gonna name names out there, but if you've got one guy that you're like, okay, I wouldn't mind him going if De'Aaron comes back, who would that player be?
Who I wouldn't mind seeing leave?
Yeah, because really, to be honest, it's Keldon,
Yeah.
Stefan, and Devin are the three guys mainly.
Yeah, I know that for sure. That Keldon's names, and really, I mean, if we're really being honest, I mean Zach Collins, like we could go to, but I know I don't know how much of a asset he might be able to be, just straight up. But I think Keldon would has been in talks for a while, dating back to in the summer. So I think Keldon would be a little bit easier of a blow for me, just
Yeah,
because I think. He's a great bench player. Like, and I think when we relied on him being a starter, his numbers were great. But being a number one guy, even the third or fourth option, I don't think he can be on a championship team. So I wouldn't mind seeing Keldon go. And if I had to choose between Vassell or Castle, I would say I love what I see from Stephon Castle right now. And
yeah.
I think Vassell might be the guy that I was like, if we can get Fox back, Vassell might have to go. Yeah.
Yeah, you're speaking just about like 98% of all of San Antonio who would
I'm
say I'd
sorry,
rather
Devin.
have
I'm
Devin.
sorry. Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
no, there's no apology needed. Me personally, I look at the GM spot as being, something that I always like to do. And I talk to Derek Gervin and all these other guys in the NBA, former players, and the tough decision is letting Castle go. But if you're on the opposite side, you're really pushing for Steph Castle if you're the Kings. You may
yeah.
not get him, and you're probably not going to get him, but you're pushing for it because you know that he's a vital piece of your future. So you saying
Yeah.
Devin Vassell, no worries, man. I mean, everybody's on the agreement with that, and I even agree with that too. I just
And
feel
yeah.
that
And with the
Devin's
Kings
probably the guy.
standpoint, yeah, they said that they want to make a title run. So they want a piece that can ensure them to continue being a contender. So when I hear that, you automatically think of someone like me, even a Jeremy Sohan or
Mm.
or Steph Castle. We have a lot of picks. I just don't know how much that is gonna that how much that takes. We've seen a lot of trades in the past, with with Bridges and Kevin Durant of all these hauls for just one player. So and for a bunch of picks, so it's possible. It's possible just to not really see any of our core pieces leave if we throw in everything and there's other teams involved. And that's
Yeah.
what I'm hoping for.
Well, I mean, latest thing has it's going to be a multiple team type of trade.
Yeah.
The possibilities of keeping Castle are good because there's multiple teams involved.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard anywhere from Utah sending John Collins to the Sacramento Kings, all the way to possibly Chicago sending Zach
Yeah.
Levine along with Collins. I mean, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
along with John Collins. So right now, it's just all speculation, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, Fox to SA, it's bound to happen. His wife's from here. He's from
Bring him
Katy,
home.
Texas. Yeah, I
Home
mean,
bring home to Texas. That's what he wants to be here. He wants to be here. So I was like, and it's been a while since
yeah.
we've had superstars say, "I want to be in San Antonio," and I think that's because of Wembanyama.
Yeah, when you're playing with a 7'3" alien type of player that can manhandle just about anybody and brings a whole dynamic to the game of basketball, a lot of players are going to line up to play with him. Talking to Vicious Vincent Siordia here, local boxer from SA. For those of y'all that don't know, didn't hear it earlier, he's going on an Asian tour boxing wise. So we're wishing him the absolute best of luck on that. He's going to come back better, bigger, stronger, undefeated still. He's going to get those title shots. And when he does, I'm going to have to be behind all these other journalists and say, hey, Vincent, you want to come back on Sweep because you got to go on
Of course.
HBO and all these other places first, man.
You already know. I got you. You're in front of the list.
Awesome. I will get there. Then I'm going to take you up on that when you're holding those titles up. But as we close the show here, man, quick thing, we like to do a top 5 on Sweep Unplugged, and
Gotcha.
it could be anything, it could be wherever, no matter the countdown, wherever it is, no matter the content or subject. But for you tonight, top 5, we need to know, who are your top 5, not boxers,
Uh,
because that's kind of easy, you growing up watching people, but who are the top 5 guys that you want to fight in the ring?
okay.
List them all. Top 5. Doesn't have to be in any order either.
Yeah. Top five guys I would like to fight. I think there's one that's like in my head that he probably is number one, and that's Gervonta Tank Davis. I think that's a fight that I've studied a lot, and with my natural size and lankiness, I think it would
Mm,
give him trouble. So Tank Davis, Naya Inoue from Japan.
yeah.
Uh, Let's see here. There's really the only two. Shakur Stevenson at 135.
Okay.
Rafael Espinoza, the current champion at 126. And uh, if I had to throw in one right there, and like another one in my weight class, uh, maybe Oshaki Foster at 130. But yeah, definitely, if I really had to say, the two would be Gervonta Davis and Naoya Inoue, because I think those are very, a little more realistic in terms of just the size. Yeah.
Man, Davis fight against Vicious Vincent. That would probably be a damn good fight. I think we might have to see that come in here before everyone's eyes. Now, if you go past, now I'm going to go a little bit deeper here.
Yeah.
If you go into the past, I mean, you've got
Yeah.
Jesse James Leha from back in the day. Dudan. You've got a lot of these guys. What a couple of guys would you want to fight from the past if that was ever like if you went back in time?
Anybody back in time. I know it's not too uh too like far, but maybe Prince Nassim Ahmed or
Oh
Mark.
my
Yeah,
God, you mentioned the Prince.
yeah,
Oh man.
yeah. Because I think he's got one of those styles where I felt like a lot of fighters were scared of him because he was confident, but someone like Marco Antonio Barrera went in there and fought him and was very confident.
Mhm.
Really had his way. So I think that would have been a pretty fun fight. Yeah.
Wow, Prince Nazima, man. And, the thing with him was that I was actually a big fan of his, and he had a
Yeah.
very, like you mentioned, very unorthodox
Mhm.
style of boxing. But what you remember most about the Prince was the entrances that he would make
Yeah.
to the ring. Like you knew you were paying that, well, back then it was like $49 for a pay-per-view,
Yeah.
and you were getting the show. It wasn't like $100 like every pay-per-view is right now. But man, I'm going to talk to Derek Irvin because we were talking about Prince Nazim back about a couple of weeks back, and
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting a name drop here tonight for sure with Vicious Vincent Siordia, a local boxer in San Antonio. You got his top 5. You got his throwback boxer. That's going to be huge to hear about Prince Nazim Hamed. Vince, before you go on your Asia tour, where can everybody find you on social media, and where can they get in contact with you?
Yeah. So on social media, Vicious Vincent on Instagram, Twitter, Vicious Jordan on Facebook, and that would be like the best place to contact me, just on through social media, Instagram. Um, I think that's pretty much it. I'm pretty on Instagram a lot and Twitter. So Vicious Vincent, follow me there. You have up to date news on your professional career and just daily life in general too. I post a lot.
Awesome. There you go, guys. We appreciate boxer Vicious Vincent Siordia joining us here. And before we go, hit that YouTube, search Sweep the League TV, hit the subscribe button so you can catch this interview as well as everything else we do at Sweep the League Network. Wishing the best of luck to Vincent. And before we go, like we always say, appreciate Vincent for joining us here tonight. And for all you one out there, until we sweep the league again, we will see you later, knuckleheads.
See you guys. Thank you.